on for you today. I'm so excited for you to meet her. We have the beautiful Nina on with us today. Nina is a multi six-figure conscious sales speaker, which is incredible. She's a coach, a mentor, best-selling author, and CEO of the Institute of Conscious Sales, and has spoken in front of thousands of people globally. Right. So we're very lucky, very privileged to have Nina here today with us. She's an entrepreneur. She's done TED Talks, like done NLP Worldwide, all of the things, incredible things, helping entrepreneurs really build this beautiful relationship with sales. And it's not even that, we were just speaking before, and I know that Nina has such an incredible story. She has so much to give. We all have life happen to us. And so we're going to touch on a lot of incredible points, and make sure you've got a notepad and pen ready, or you're going to want to re-listen to this. I know I will too, because we're going to go into a lot of different things that's going to really support you in life and also in business, and also really being able to take those bold action steps. And so, Nina, babe, I would love to hear, obviously, your story. You know it better than I know it. Would love to hear just a bit about you and where you started.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of the best place to start. But really, I was that really strange person in high school, even in primary school, that was asking really strange questions. So I grew up as a Catholic, even though I don't necessarily see myself as a Catholic now, I see myself more spiritual.
Yeah.
But when I went to school, I went to a Catholic school, I was in religion, and I was asking the teacher, why did Jesus have to die for us to go to heaven? Like I was asking these massive questions that people just couldn't answer for me.
Yeah.
I also remember having these thoughts of, I feel like there's more to life than just going to school, going to university, getting a job and dying. Like, surely there's more to life than that. I was always that really strange person in school asking really strange questions. And when I left school, I ended up studying exercise physiology simply because I was seeking the advice of the careers advisor, who didn't help at all. My boyfriend at the time, who also didn't really help at all. My parents, who were like, you just have to go to university. You have to do something. So even though I didn't know what I wanted to do, I somehow decided, it's all right, money. I get time off. That seemed to be the thought process of looking for a job. Where's something where you can work not that much and get paid a lot of money and get some, a decent amount of time off. And so I was studying to study exercise physiology. And in between my double degree, I had a 2-month uni break. And I've always been someone who's loved working. So from the moment that I could start working, I loved making money for myself. And so in between my uni break, I applied for every single potential job that I thought I would enjoy. And at the time, I was always really curious about real estate. So I thought to myself, I'm going to get a job as a receptionist because I'm a people person. I'm bubbly. I like talking to people, and I can learn about real estate because it's something that interests me anyway. It was a 3-month uni break. So I thought, over the 3 months, I'll work, I'll make some money, I'll learn a little bit while I learn. I'll earn a little bit while I learn. And I remember, for those of you in Australia, there's a website called Seek where there's literally hundreds of job applications. I literally went through every single page on Seek and applied for every single receptionist role on real estate. In real estate on Seek. And I remember, out of the hundreds of applications that I had submitted, one place called me back.
Wow.
I came in for an interview for a 3-month receptionist role, and this man decided to offer me a 12-month sales role. So it was really the first time in my life where I was looking for this and I got this. And when I was looking for this, as much as I knew I was unhappy and it's not what I enjoyed doing, it was comfortable even though I was unhappy. And so this other opportunity of, it's a little bit of the unknown. I'm a little bit scared, but it has the potential for so much more fulfillment and happiness. And I talk about this on my TED Talk, which you guys can find on YouTube. But at the time, it felt like a really hard decision because it was the first one of the decisions like that I had to make in my life. But pretty much it came down to me thinking, why not? Like, I'm not passionate about what I'm doing in university. I don't even know if I want to have a career in that. I just went to uni to appease my parents. Why not? Let's just defer uni for a year and give real estate a go for 12 months. And in that time of me getting into real estate, I got my first ever mentor, who was my boss at the time. He introduced me to personal development. He introduced me to, what it means to not have to sacrifice who you are in order to make sales. And even though he had those values, there were still a lot of people in the office, a very male-dominated industry, who were still lying, they were manipulating, they were sleazy. But I know that's not how I wanted to be. And so after 3 quarters in real estate, so by my 3rd quarter, I had become like the 4th highest salesperson in the company. I was the youngest female top earner in the company. I was being flown to different places. I became the second in charge. I started training all the new staff coming in. I was in the process of opening up my own office. I bought my own house, moved out of home. And while I was in the process of opening up my own office, I actually went to a personal development event. This is back in 2012. This is a long time ago. And I met Brendan Burchard. And this was like, no one knew who he was back then. There was like 100 people in the room. And I remember sitting there listening to him speak and just being so moved. I remember sitting there crying, having this realization that I'm here for so much more than what I'm doing. I feel so successful in real estate, but there's more that I can see for myself now. And that day is the day that I realized that I'm here to be a coach, a speaker, and an author. Wow. By the way, guys, it's 2012, right? Like, this is like going back 11 years ago now. And then really to cut the story short, I really struggled for 7 years in my business. Because my initial plan was, I'm going to build my real estate career. I'm 5 years away to becoming financially free. I'm opening up my own office. I'll have 3 properties by then. Then I will go and pursue my dream of becoming a coach, a speaker, and an author. But that 5-year plan became 2 weeks. Because I went back to work and I felt like my soul was dying. And as dramatic as I know that sounds, I think that mentally, when we can see something more for ourselves, when we settle, we feel like we're going against who we are. Yeah. And I just couldn't do that. Even if it felt like a really short time, it was such an uncomfortable feeling for me to be there, even though literally the week before I absolutely loved it. And so that 5-year plan became a 2-week plan, but then I used up all my life savings in about a year and a half. I was really struggling to grow my business. I still wasn't making a full-time income. It wasn't until 7 years into me trying to grow my business did I finally decide to work with a high-level one-on-one mentor. And it wasn't just the facts that I worked with a high-level one-on-one mentor, but it was the mindset that I was in. It was the commitment that I was at. It was the knowing that this person, I really feel like this person can help me, and I'm done doing it the cheap way, that I finally started to make a full-time income in my business. And that was at the start of 2020. And so, January 2020, so December 2019, I was doing about 2K a month in my business. January 2020, I did my first 10K month. By June that year, I did my first 28K month. And by February the year after that, I done my first 100K month. Wow. So as much as it seems like there was a lot of growth over, that 2020 period, 2021 period, there was so much learning for me in the first 7 years. And it's a big reason why now what I specialize in is being a sales coach for coaches. So a lot of my clients, and some of them are also in network marketing, but they also have a coaching business on the side. But really they want to be paid for their knowledge, for what they know, for their life experience. And especially for heart-centered entrepreneurs, we don't want to be sleazy. We don't want to be pushy. We don't want to feel like we're going against who we are and our own values. But there's such an incongruency wanting to get paid in what we love to do and not feeling like we're a sleazy salesperson when we make money. And so conscious sales, which is, the term that I've coined, is really about heart-centered sales. And the niche that I really specialize in working with are coaches, even though I've also worked with entrepreneurs, I've worked with other service providers, I've worked with consultants. And it is a very transferable skill. But it's the reason why a lot of my clients are able to achieve the results, like hitting their first 10K month in their first year in business, in their first 6 months in business, in their first month even in their business. Because I've gone through so much learning of failing over and over and over and over again. So I can now teach what not to do and what are the key things to focus on. So I guess in a nutshell, that's my story.
I love it so much, Nina. There's so much gold in that. And even, we spoke a little bit about how to embrace your imperfections. And this is the thing, and I can tell, and it's an energy thing. You have just such a beautiful heart, and that's why you're so amazing at sales, because you do have a beautiful heart and you have so much to give. Like you said, you had that pivotal moment, and the thing is, you took action with that, right? We all have money stories. We all have, conditioning that we've had growing up. And so my first question for you is, with those who are watching and our money mindset, right? Like, what's that first step? Like, what would you recommend people take, even as a coaches, entrepreneurs, or just whoever you are? I believe everybody has this entrepreneur part of them. But what is that first step to really build a better relationship with money, or to take action, or like, what is that thing that you would recommend?
Yeah. So I would say there's 2 key pieces, right? Number 1 is entirely up to you. The second one is as well, but it's a little bit deeper than that. So for the first one, it's first and foremost making the decision that you want to change your money story, because a lot of people like to complain about their situation and not do anything about it. And that's honestly just human nature, right? It's literally most people. We all have a friend who complains about the guys that they're dating or the partner that they're dating, and yet they still keep going back to them, right? So I know that I've been there, and it really just comes back to calling ourselves out on our crap. It's, okay, what am I going to decide now moving forward? And once you make that decision, every time you're posed with a decision to either fall into that place of being in that old mindset or thinking different, because it is a choice. As much as a lot of our thoughts are unconscious, we still have a choice to where to direct our thoughts. So when we're posed with those 2 decisions, if we've already made the decision within ourselves and expressed that commitment to other people, there's less of a chance that we can be in denial about still listening to a lot of those stories. Right? So the first one is making a decision that I'm going to change my money story, because once we make a decision, typically action follows that decision. Again, a lot of people complain about it, but they don't do anything about it. And often it's because they just haven't made the decision. After making the decision, as much as you can bring it to your own awareness, there's only so much we are aware of, right? And Einstein says, you cannot solve a problem on the same level of thinking that created that problem. So if we're in a mindset of a container, right, as much as no one likes to be put in a box, if there's a container of what you know, how do you know how to think out there when you just don't have the awareness to think out there, right? It's a blind spot. And so that's why having some level of accountability, having a coach, having a mentor to be able to support you in figuring out where you're getting in your own way. Because I think it's something like 80% of our thoughts are habitual. But the fact that it's habitual means that we don't even realize we're thinking about it. We don't even realize those are the patterns that we've been playing out. And typically habits do not always break and do not often break overnight. It takes consistency, especially if you've had a habit, for example, of procrastinating, of not taking action, of not calling yourself out on your own money stories. If you've had that habit for your entire life because of what you've been modeled, because of how you've been brought up, because of the situation and the circumstance that we've been in, not to blame any of those things, but that's just reality and that's just life. Most of us don't have super conscious parents that tell us how to be grateful for money, right? So it's just a situation that most of us have been brought up in. if we've lived our entire life with all of this conditioning, how can you expect to learn something different when no one's teaching you? And so that's where the benefit of having a mentor or having a coach or having someone really call you out on your own things can make such a big difference. And I'm not saying necessarily for everyone to go and get a money coach. What I'm saying is, there's having the awareness of what it is that you desire. Like, even if you guys decide that you want to change your money story, why? Why do you actually want to change your money story? Because a lot of people think that they want money, but they don't actually know why they want the money. It's a very it's a big societal expectation, right? Everybody wants to be rich, but most people don't even know what they would do with the money if they had the money. So what would you even do with the money? And after figuring out what the priority is in your life right now, and you want the money to help you with that priority, find someone who can help you with going in that direction. And if it has something to do with having more money, growing a business, or anything of that sort, it's finding those people who can help you with those blocks. And money blocks happen to be one of those. It's not the only one. There's a ton of things that are going to come up in your journey of, wanting to live your best life and, wanting to be an entrepreneur and wanting to make an income doing what you love. But without that support and accountability, it's really, really, really hard to do it on your own because you don't have a roadmap, right? Like Edison, the person who invented the light bulb, says that he failed 10,000 times before he figured out the recipe to be able to light a light bulb. So you can think about someone trying to figure it out themselves and failing 10,000 times. Like, how many years could that take to fail 10,000 times, as opposed to Edison giving you the recipe and you knowing what you need to do, what you need to follow. And it's honestly the thing that I wish I had done sooner. A lot of people say to me, why do you think it took you so long? Like, I know one other person, and I do a lot of networking. I speak to a lot of people. I know one other person that has taken them 7 years to build their business to a full-time income. And every single other person who I know that has taken them significantly less time, they hired help earlier than me.
Yeah. That's so incredible. And that's like everything you said there is incredible. So I hope you're taking notes if you're listening or watching, because it's really important. And like making the decision, I feel like that's what a lot of people just struggle with, because we're too much in our head. And it's just like, if you just make a decision knowing that there's no right or wrong, but just take action from what you know, like know that, okay, I know that there's something more that I want. So let's go figure it out. Let's go see who can help me. Like, and why do I actually want this? Like, why do I want to have more money? How do I want to contribute? Like, who do I want to be giving it to? How do I want to support myself? And that's just it feels so much. We talk about this all the time around the unclarity. Like, you got to find that clarity. And money is just such a big topic, right? There's so much we could go into around this and around, of course, your incredible conscious sales support. Like, we're definitely going to have you back as well. There's one other question that I would love to go deeper before we end it soon is, how did you handle the failure? Like you said, for 7 years, it's taking you 7 years, which is still not even a massive time frame in your whole expansion. Like, this is now set up for life. This is your vision, your mission. And everyone's like, yeah, it seems so long, but it's really not. So, but even with that 7 years, how did you handle failure? How did you, I guess failure, I say in quotation marks, how did you handle getting pushed down, getting back up, getting pushed down, getting back up? How did you handle and keep that consistency going, that persistence?
Yeah, it's such a great question. There's two pieces to that. The first one is, I absolutely did try to quit multiple times. But I think it was Denzel Washington, and he summarizes it really, really well in a quote that he says. He says, people think that if they live their best life, their life will be easy. Like, people think, I don't want to live a hard life. I just want to live an easy life. And that's why, if I go and do a job that I hate, it's easy, right? And Denzel Washington said, the mistake that people make is thinking that life is either hard or easy. Because regardless of what path you choose, life is going to be hard, right? There's going to be challenging times. The thing is, if you don't follow your dreams and you settle, life is easy at in the immediacy, but hard for the rest of your life. Like you need to live with that regret for the rest of your life. But if you follow your dreams, it's hard initially, and then you get to live the life of your dreams, and then it becomes easy. And so for me, every time I would try to quit and I'd go back to that old life, I realized that the reason why I'd quit is because I'm like, this is too hard. Being an entrepreneur is too hard. And then I'd go to like getting a job, and then I'd realize this feels just as hard. It's a different kind of hard, but it feels just as hard. And so Denzel says, you got to choose your hard.
Yeah.
But choosing to follow your dreams, at least then there's something you're working towards. At least then there's something that you're committed to in compounding something. When I was working in a job, it's like, yeah, there's immediate money, but then what am I doing with my life? Like my life isn't actually growing. Like I've always been someone who's wanted to make a difference. I've always wanted to make an impact. So being in a job where there's no real progression of making a real difference just did not fulfill me. Like I've always looked for fulfillment, hence all the weird questions I would ask at such a young age. And then the other piece of continually going from like, this is too hard to I'm going to do this instead because it's easier to this is actually just as hard, then I would like find the willpower again, and I would really dig deep. And multiple times I've had to ask myself, like, why do I actually care? Why do I care about this thing? And it's been layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of figuring out with who I am today, why do I care? Because that even if it doesn't look that different, internally, I've changed. What I care about changes. What my drive is changes. And so figuring out what that is, and then also, and I was actually talking to one of my clients about this yesterday. We typically are in this mindset of like, Nina, like I had one call. How come they didn't buy from me? I did one post. How come people aren't reaching out to me? And there's definitely like an entitlement, right? When it comes to our generation and when it comes to the spiritual community, like I deserve to be abundant. I deserve for everything to come to me. Yes. However, if we are not putting in the work, the law of the universe is that for every giver, there is a receiver, and for a receiver, there is a giver. You need to be putting out value for that return of value, which is money, to come back to you. And so when a lot of my clients are in a space of like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Have I done it yet? Is it going to happen yet? Is it going to happen yet? It doesn't happen because they're too busy looking at the result as opposed to falling in love with the process. And so I remember when I was in that headspace, and it was literally like just before I made a full-time income, I was like, this is so bloody hard. Why is it taking me 7 years? And I remember, and this ties into the money thing as well, I remember thinking to myself, I was in such a mindset of like, I'm doing everything. Why is nothing working? I'm like, I'm doing all the personal development. I'm doing all the books. And then I remember that energy of complaining is not helping me. So I needed to shift my focus to what am I not doing? What am I not implementing? What do I have to, rather than trying to walk up the hill, how can I run up the hill? Even when you think about pedaling up a bicycle uphill, have you guys ever tried to pedal up a hill with a bicycle slowly? It is significantly harder than standing up and going as fast as you can, right? So it's a similar analogy to that. And so I remember when I decided to work with my first high-level one-on-one mentor, which, by the way, I didn't have the money for it. I used the last $1,000 on my credit card. I think my partner was like, what the hell is she doing? But I'm like, I'm going to do it. I need to do it. And then within 3 days, I closed my first $10,000, right? So the whole, oh, she had the money. I didn't have the money, right? I made the commitment and then I made the money. But when I made that decision of I'm going to invest more than I've ever invested to be able to get the support that I need that I've never had before, to be able to get a result that I've never had before, I remember thinking to myself, but I don't want to get into more debt. But then I thought to myself, because like a big part of my mission and my vision, I talk about this a lot in my book, which is the one behind me. You guys can also get it on Booktopia or Amazon. Like you can get it online. I talk about the fact that with my experience of being sexually abused, one of the things that I want to do from a philanthropy perspective is eradicate child abuse and sex slavery. And so I'm here complaining about not wanting to get into more debt, But I thought to myself, I remember having this thought of like, but if I can achieve my goal sooner and help one child not have to live through that for an extra 6 months, would I get into more debt for that? And the answer was yes.
Yeah.
And so rather than being in the mindset of like, is it going to happen yet? Is it going to happen yet? Is it going to happen yet? I made a recommitment to myself deeper than I've ever made, that I will do whatever it takes and I will persist for as long as it takes.
Yeah.
And so again, when we're running towards something that's further away, when we're running towards something that we know is going to happen, but we don't expect it to happen tomorrow, we tend to take more action, when we tend to like bash through that wall. And that's what I was able to do 7 years into growing my business, because I stopped asking like, am I there yet? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? And I just made the commitment that this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm heading, and I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah. There's so many things I heard in that. One, like this deep connection to your why. And I feel like this gets put out so much. Like I've been in the personal development space for many years as well. And your why, like you hear this all the time, like what's your why? What's your vision? And it can come across as quite cliche, but it's really true. Like it's taken me multiple moments in my life to really understand my deep why. So sometimes it's not going to come to you straight away, but even if you have that inkling of knowing, like you did, Nina, at the start of like, I know I'm here for more. I know that I've got more to give. That's a start, right? And then you've come and you've grown, and you've realized, okay, these experiences that I've gone through is a massive part of my journey. And like you said, you're like, I would make that commitment. I had massive goosebumps when you were sharing, just that little part about yourself, and be like, if I could help one person, because it's exactly how I feel, if I can help that one person, I'm going to do it. Like I'm going to be committed. It's going to remind me, and knowing that I've got to do something to get something different. It's just phenomenal. Like so amazing. It's incredible. And so Nina, like I said, we're going to have to get you come back. If you guys are listening or watching, drop a 1 in the comments if you can really resonate with this, or this is really touching your heart and you can feel the passion from Nina. I can really feel it. I'm really feeding off your energy. So it's really amazing to hear different stories and have this value come in. One last piece of advice that you would give that woman or man who's sitting on the sidelines, who's not sure, or they're uncertain, or maybe they're struggling to make that decision, or wanting more from their life, what would be one last life advice that you would want to give to somebody like that?
Yeah. Honestly, just take imperfect action today. Like if you take longer than a day to take some form of action, don't be surprised if 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, you still haven't. Right? We can only ever take action in the present moment. And what I see, and I talk about this so much in my book, and I see this all the time, is people want things to be perfect before they take action. And I get that society has also taught us that, like, go educate yourself, get the degree, learn, then go and implement, right? But that is not how life works. And that is absolutely not how entrepreneurship works. It is take action, fail, figure it out. Take action, fail, figure it out. Take action, fail, figure out. Take action. Oh, it worked. Cool. What else do I need to do again? Fail again. All right. Take action, fail, figure it out. And the more willing you are to fail forward, and the more you can see that as, and in sales called reframing, when you can see the failure not as a failure, but as a learning, as a great, I'm heading in the right direction. I'm not going to make that mistake again. The more you can be willing to fail, the more you can be willing to make mistakes, because that fear of not wanting to make mistakes is exactly what's going to keep you exactly where you are. And then you're going to end up regretting it.
Yeah, so true. I love that so much. It's that's entrepreneurship. You have to be willing to get messy. And that's something that myself personally, I've had to come to this conclusion and this understanding of acceptance of, like, this is what it is. I either choose this messiness, or I choose this other messiness over here working 9 to 5 that I really don't like, that, like you said, unfulfilling. I'm going to choose this messiness. So choose your heart again. I'm so grateful. We're so honored to have you on, Nina. Thank you so much for joining us. Go and make sure, we're going to pop Nina's socials below, but make sure you go check her out, follow, especially if you're a coach or an entrepreneur and you're wanting to get some advice and seek some help. Definitely Nina is your go-to girl. Nina, your book is called The Naked Coach, so we'll put those details. The Naked You,
Naked
is
You.
it? Oh, sorry, you named The Naked Coach with the title. Yep, amazing. The
Yeah.
Naked You. Yeah. So it's a best-selling book, The Naked You. Make sure you go check out the book. Go get that. I'm going to get that myself personally. It's amazing. And we'll pop all those details below as well so they can contact you. So again, thank you for having us. If you've got any questions for Nina or us, you know that we're always here. Drop it in the comments below or just reach out and we can be there to support you. But happy Thursday, guys. Have the rest of your week. Thank you so much for joining us, Nina.
Thanks, lovely. Could I just share one gift for
Yes,
everybody?
yes,
So
please.
one of the things that I talk about in conscious sales is the integration of the energy, the mindset, and the skill set of sales, right? It's that action paired with the feminine. It's the masculine paired with the feminine.
Yeah.
And obviously, the skill set is probably the most challenging. But if you have the energy and the mindset and you're taking action, you're going to make sales. You're going to make money, even with a very low skill set, just because you're coming from the right place. And so I started doing a meditation with my clients and they really loved it. They found it super beneficial. They were making more sales from being in the right energy and the right mindset. And so I made that a free meditation for everybody. It's only 7 minutes because I know we're like, man, I don't have 20 minutes, but everyone has 7 minutes, right? And so you guys can get that at www.sacmeditation.com/Nina. And it's a free soul client attraction meditation where I cover literally everything from the energetic and the mindset perspective when it comes to getting paid for what you love to do. The skill set's different. If you guys want more help with that, then reach out to me on socials. But the energy, the mindset are the foundational pieces. And so that's free for you guys that want it.
Wow, that's amazing. We'll make sure we pop that below as well. Thank you so much, Nina. That's incredible. I'm going to download that myself too. Amazing. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to have you back. Lots of love, guys.